What up, everybody? It's me, Mr. Right, giving y'all that chaos and mayhem at your car fighting areas with Dudley Jessica, my Spike Brothers build. Should this give y'all that chaos and mayhem that you need, give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and watch my other videos, and be prepared for more content. Make a trainer searches out anything from grade 1 or less, so you can really start preparing yourself for either a heavy damage deck or prepare for striding or what have you with this guy here. Conroe clone, so I don't think he's going to get banned anytime soon. If he does, we do have Mecha Advisor, not a bad card, but it is G specific. And this card gets off the field as soon as possible, as soon as you have some damage. So yeah, triggers. Running 4 heal trigger because we have to live. Magical Manager. We're running 4 Silent Joker and 2 Sonic Breaker. 2 Sonic Breaker because we don't run the G Rising Nova in here. And then 4 Silent Joker for counter charging. We got 2 Mecha Advisor and 4 Chigo Pauline. If anything, these cards, the draws are very essential. You could run it at 7. I used to run it at 7, and then one of the draws betrayed me. He betrayed me, sir. He betrayed me and cost me the game. So I will be keeping this at 6/6 for defensive purposes and for getting hand, because things go from hand to soul quite often with Spike Brothers. Running 1 Death Flag Dragger. When you call this card during battle, you get to reveal a grade 3 and search out Bad End Dragger from your deck. Put them both back into your hand shelf of your deck. So you're not minusing with the whole stride fodder, like Acrobat Verde for searching out Rising Nova and then discarding a card. So that's a good card for searching out Bad End. Should I not have it, or should I just need some stride fodder? Acrobat Verde is the one of stride fodder should I need to stride at all. So Mecha Trainer usually finds him out, or if I already have it in hand, then I will search out Trigger Elza. Trigger Elza's skill, Limit Break Enabler. So because we run the Bad End Dragon Limit Break in this card, so yeah. We are running 3 Reckless Express. Would definitely run a 4th if I had the space. If I also had the space, I would definitely probably run more Acrobat Verde. But Reckless Express is not a horrible card. He is an amazing card and a must-have, especially if you're running Dudley Geronimo, because he can swing for 17 with its skill. Because Dudley Geronimo gives it a +5, and if GB3's active, he can attack from the back row. So you'll be building a lot of soul anyway, and there's really no other cards that make use of the soul outside of Bracky and Reckless. So running 3, and it's a good rush game for if your opponent's on a 7. Running 4 Untouchable Millie. I'll tell you why I run this card, but when she's in charge, you get to swing at the Vanguard if it hits and you have generation available. Discard a card, add this card back to hand, so you in turn still have a PG for defending. Running 3 Machine Gun Gloria. She helps me maintain hand when she boosts and the boost an attack. The attack doesn't have to hit Vanguard or hit Rear Guard. Counterblast 1, draw a card, put the boosted units to the bottom of the deck. So again, with the draw triggers, I get to still maintain hand, and she's almost kind of too essential to the deck as well. 2s, because this deck isn't totally G focused. Running 2 Wink Killer Misery because she does help summon things. Amber Clone, when she's boosted, kind of blast 1 card from hand to soul, summon a card that is not this card, and give it +5 from the deck. Very fantastic card. If you wanted to run more, I would not be against the idea. I just don't have the space. 4 Dudley Mason, same thing as Wink Killer Misery, except for the Vanguard, Rear Guard, and it doesn't have to be boosted. Attack the Vanguard, counterblast 1. If it hits, card from hand and soul, that's the costs. And summon the card from the deck. It can be anything. Awesome. Running 3 high-speed Bracky, same thing as Reckless Express, except for it'll be a 14k attacker versus a 12k attacker. And then we have Devil Summoner, the most iffy card in the whole friggin' deck. I mean, if you look at his skill right now, you'll see why I just no. But he helps rush the field. Spike Brothers needs cards that call things. Minusing, except for, without the whole minusing from hand and eating up a counterblast, because counterblasts are important. You place it, call the top card if it's a 1 or 2. If it's not, shuffle the deck. It's a very iffy card. It can help during that final push turn there with Dudley Geronimo. Very iffy. And this is the reason I run Untouchable Millie, because she actually has an ability that if she hits, I get a PG back in hand. Because there's been times where I called the countercharge PG or Chair Guard Maryland to rear because of his skill, and there would be he didn't do anything. So, and they wouldn't do anything just because they don't have any skills. But because she has charging, that's the reason I run this card and that card. 3s. We got 4 Bad End Dragger. Bad End Dragger is the best Spike Brothers card for pretty much almost any and every deck. Because this deck is more defensive style, we need something to give my opponent to, be wary of. So for the Break Ride, plus 10 to the Vanguard and plus 10 to its attackers that attack from rear. If we had something that can attack from the rear guard and still keep this bonus, best freaking believe it would be on and popping, bruh. Not only that, but if my opponent plays the grade 2 game and I have the limit break enabler on field, I get the Break Ride over Break Ride, still get the plus 10, and my attackers get plus 10. So at least in the front row. So yeah, they get pushed to the bottom of the deck, so I can still have those open rear circles that we need for Wink Killer Misery's skill, Dudley Mason's skill, stuff like that. So yeah, and he gets a plus 2 when he's boosted. We have Dudley Jessica, again, more of the defensive style of Spike Brothers. Spike Brothers is notorious for being defensive, but she gives all your front row Dudleys in a plus 2. So if you're running a strict Dudley build, like Dudley Lucifer, Dudley Emperor, Dudley Jessica, Dudley Mason, Dudley Douglas, Dudley Monty, Dudley Dudley Moses, Dudley Daisy, I think that's it. If you're running a strict Dudley build, then this card is for you. She has to be in your Dudley build. Dudley Lucifer, he would be a good backup to this card, and or Dudley Emperor, because he does summon things from the deck. Not only that, but her on stride skill with Dudley Geronimo, it has to be Dudley Geronimo because we have no other Dudley strides. So when you stride with a Dudley card, stride with a Dudley card, you get to freely call a Dudley card from your deck and give it plus 5. With Dudley Geronimo's skill, that Dudley card gets another plus 5. So at most it'll be a 20 if it's Dudley Monty, 19 for Dudley Mason. If you use Dudley Douglas's skill, it'll be a 24 because when he's called during battle, but that wasn't during battle, so it's like, ew. So that's a thing. But still, if you're able to call him, he's still a 24 during battle. And of course, it has to be an open rear circle, so make sure you have that open rear circle there. And for my Divine Hand, Bad End Dragger turn, Bulldozer Doge, he gets a plus 10 when he's in charge, so he's 21. With Divine Hand, Bad End, if I'm at limit brake or have the limit brake enabler. He's a 31K swinger. 31K is a big number. Yeah. And now my strides. Running 1 godly speed flash bruise for that on hit pressure, just in case I need something to flip up with Dirty Picaro. That's pretty much the only reason he's here. But his on hit pressure is pretty decent. You get to summon the card after you put the card from hand to soul, and that unit gets +5 for whatever you summon. So yeah. You always want something to go back to the bottom of the deck because you need those open rear circles. Then we got 2 Divine Hand Good End Dragger. This is when you have bad end on the Vanguard and you stride. At the end of the turn, at the end of the battle that you swung, counterblast 1 card from hand to soul. You get to call a grade 3 to an open rear, and then ride a grade 3 at rest. And then shuffle your deck, and that can be any grade 3. It doesn't have to be bad end over bad end. It can be bad end from bad end to Jessica, so that way the next turn you can Dudley Geronimo their ass, and that's a wrap. If you feel that your opponent doesn't have enough damage, and you can break ride over break ride and still do it again the next turn. So that's why I have 2. Running 1 dirty Great Bell and Dirty Picaro. Because I'll have a good bit of face up, units in my G zone. So if I can't finish my opponent off with, good end or Geronimo. If I can't finish them off with Geronimo or during a Divine Hand turn, then Dirty Picaro will be my guy. I just have to make sure I have the counterblast available and the card in hand. So when you stride and GB3 is available, attack, counterblast 2, card from hand to soul, and flip up something in the G zone. So you have to have it, that card in hand, the counterblast, and at least 1 face down. So for every face up unit in the G zone, you get to summon that many cards. So if you have 3 face up, you're going to summon 3 units. And should you want to run any charge units in this deck to outside of Bulldozer Dobe, that would be a good thing too, because those things do happen. They do open up rear circles and so on and so forth. And then of course we have, to wrap things up, Great Warrior Dudley Geronimo. Fantastic with Dudley Jessica's skill. Not only that, but he's not a bad first stride. But you have to have a Dudley heart to get his skill off. So you got to be very wary of his skill. Otherwise, you're just going to be using his skill for naught if you have bad end or any other non-Dudley heart. So what he does is counterblast 1, persona flip, and then if you have a Dudley heart until the end of turn, your rear guards get, when your rear guard attacks, it gets +5 to the end of the battle, and you put it to the bottom of the deck. Then if there's 2 or more face up in the G zone, your units can attack from the back row, and then they still get that +5. So that's a very good thing when you have a back row of Reckless Expresses, or if you want to, put some high-speed brackies back there, or what have you. As long as you got at least 1 Wink Killer Misery and a booster of some type, or even what's that boy, Dudley Mason, So hopefully this gave y'all that chaos and mayhem for your card fighting areas. Again, like this video if it gave you some inspiration or motivation to build a Dudley build, or if you got some insight on this type of build for Spike Brothers. That would definitely give me a good feeling of you guys are appreciating what I do, and and more content to come. Holla.